You've done a lot of these crazy videos. What's been the most dangerous situation that you've gotten in?
I would say getting raided by Mexican police while interviewing a potential drug dealer on the other side of the Mexican border, and having to seeing guys, police in ski masks and assault rifles tell us to get on the effing ground in Spanish, and not knowing if we were about to get the shit kicked out of us, not knowing if they were cartel, if it was a prank. Like, I had no idea what to think at first, and so that was the scariest moment so far that we've encountered, and I hope it doesn't get any scarier than that.
How did that happen?
What
What were you doing?
We were interviewing a fine gentleman by the name of Hostage, who had been twice deported from America.
Sounds like a fine gentleman.
Yeah,
How did you even get in touch with Hostage?
and that's the other thing about these videos is our contacts are extremely important. So we had this kid named Cheta Blanco in San Antonio, Texas, that got connected. He knew people because he grew up in Eagle Pass, Texas, and he'd been across the border. That's a border town. So he knew all these different guys, and when we met Hostage, he was just a guy that was running a tattoo shop, and he was a dad, and he was trying to make music. We didn't really see him at his really bad times, but while he was in the United States, he went to prison, he shanked people, he's done a lot of bad stuff. And so that's the other thing I'm learning about these videos is the gray area of morality, because these are guys that, again, like I've talked to fentanyl dealers in Chicago that I just FaceTimed the guy the other day and we had a great conversation, and I would have the guy over for dinner, but at the same time, he does do kind of piece of shit things that I don't excuse, but I still see the human side of him. So that's been something that I've been wrestling a lot with lately, is even the Kia boys. If you take those kids, like my pipe dream in Milwaukee is to build a state-of-the-art wrestling or combat sports facility where kids can go do extremely difficult things in the sport of wrestling and become tough, become accountable, become confident in their own ability. And instead of becoming perpetrators, they become protectors. Because when you have that level of knowledge on, hey, a human man comes up to me, I can take him down to the ground, I could choke him out, I could punch him down, but instead I use my power for good. Hey, I see my granny get jumped by a kid, I'm going to be the one that steps in and do something. That's where I can see these kids going if the path is there for them. Mm-hmm. But if they stay in the same situation that they are, it's going to be no surprise when you hear a news story 6 months from now that it's happening again.
Yeah. So going back to the Mexican police raid.
Yeah.
So you're doing this video, the police just bust in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're told to get on the floor. They've got assault rifles.
Yeah.
What's going through your head?
I'm trying to make sure, one, my team is okay. One of my guys is right next to me, and I can kind of feel him panicking, and I'm kind of whispering in his ear like, hey, are you okay? And he's too scared to say anything back to me. And then, just like waiting. It's one of those things where time is very out of the window. Like, I'm not sure if a minute passed or 20 minutes passed, but at some point, I just am trying to lighten the mood. Like, when they're walking past me, I'm like, whoa, like, tienes armas grandes, like, you have big guns. And they kind of chuckle a little bit. And then I tell them, soy un entrevistador. I'm an interviewer. I'm interviewing him about his music. I interview American rappers, and this is my first video in Mexico, so we were just trying to hear from him. But then they search the whole house. They find that there's no drugs in the house, and things get a little bit more relaxed. They let us up to our feet. They delete 2 of the clips that have them on there. We were able to recover one of those and use next door neighbor's security camera to verify what happened. But they gave us their phone number. They saved it as the police officer saved his number as the ghost in my cameraman's phone. And he said to send a copy of that video before we post it, which we didn't, because one, that guy pointed a gun at my face. I don't really think I have to get the approval from him on the video. 2, the only reason I considered sending a copy to him is he invited us back. Hey, if you guys want to do a day in the life of a Mexican police officer, we'd be happy to have you. But I feel like the experience was so traumatic that I wasn't very keen on meeting those fellas again. And that was actually my first taste ever of PTSD. It was very tiny. I've had only one experience that reminded me of this, but shortly back when I got home from that experience, I remember the doorbell ringing and just like my heart just started racing, and I was just like, oh, okay, I think I know what's going on here. But it was just I was powerless. I was complete. Like anything they wanted to do to me at that moment, they would have been able to do.
Yeah, but yet you were kind of trying to diffuse the situation. That's interesting. You could still do that while you're camera guy. I think I would have been completely frozen and panicking too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty strong part of my personality is always to diffuse. Like I haven't been in a street fight since I was probably in 8th grade, and I never hoped to get into one. Like all the little dumb things that we could possibly fight over, like, oh, I accidentally spilled a guy's beer when I was dancing and he chucks on the ground and head fakes me. It's like I don't need to prove anything to this guy. So it's just like, hey man, like that's a $3 beer, because that would happen in Whitewater, Wisconsin. But like these things aren't that big of a deal. So I have a natural tendency to de-escalate and make sure things don't get out of control.
Yeah. When did you do that video? Was that post Kia Boys?
Yeah.
So recently.
Yeah.
And you're still fine going into these dangerous places. No PTSD or anxiety stopping you from doing more.
Well, I mean, what does make me nervous in these ideas, like we just were in Flint, Michigan, and those guys had enough guns to start a militia out there. We were in Phoenix. That was the most recent video I just posted, and I
saw that.
Plenty of weapons there too. The thing is this, the platform is big enough and well received enough that I'm not worried about any of them in the video. But what I am worried about is, did someone shoot a rival yesterday or beef with someone on Instagram, and all of a sudden I'm going to be part of a drive-by that has nothing to do with me? Like that's something that I think about. Because some of these places I go, like even if they're rolling 20 deep and all have guns, every car that passes by, it's like, who's that? Or we've had it a few times, even in this Phoenix video, a car drove by and a few guys like bring out the gun, and it's just like, it just is a little... Or the other thing that scares me in these type of videos is an accidental discharge, that someone just being stupid and flexing their gun, and then all of a sudden me or my camera guy or Keegan just get pieced out because they wanted to look cool with their firearm.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you for tuning into this clip of Milwaukee Uncut. We'd love it if you took a second to hit the subscribe button and also like this clip. That helps us get more eyes on this show here on YouTube. Thanks again for supporting Milwaukee Uncut.